Hello and welcome to Arizona 360. I'm Itai Sofer. Thanks for joining us. For more than a week now, vaccinated Mexican nationals have been able to cross into the U.S. for things like visiting or shopping. It's welcome news for businesses and families along the border. During the pandemic, commercial traffic increased more than 12%, and it's been growing over the years. To support that growth, Congress recently approved hundreds of millions of dollars in new funding to improve ports of entry in Arizona. And that translates into stronger border communities. Joining us to discuss this are Sunny and Chaz. Hi, Sunny and Chaz.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. So I want to ask you about Oklahoma City because that's where you live.
Correct.
And that's where you work. What do you both do, by the way?
I'm a manager at a women's resale store.
Okay.
Yes, and I have an experience in a physical therapy field as a technician, working close with physical therapists on the daily.
Okay, and how would you describe like the local businesses and the local economy in Oklahoma City?
I would say it's pretty similar to here in Tucson.
Yeah, there's
that
a
seen.
mixture of big business and local business. We're actually from a suburb of Oklahoma City called Norman, Oklahoma, which is a university town, and as such, there's numerous students who have left college and opened businesses within the area.
Okay, and I understand you recently learned some facts about the University of Oklahoma in comparison to U of A here in Arizona.
Yeah.
Tell us about that, yeah.
So I always thought that they were pretty similar, pretty comparable, and so you actually looked it up at lunch.
Yes,
and
I did. We've actually learned that the University of Oklahoma has a larger square footage, but the U of A has around 15,000 more students than the University of Oklahoma, which is interesting because the University of Oklahoma is one of the major contributors to the economy in Oklahoma, and U of A doesn't have to be.
Yeah, and where did you go to school in Oklahoma, or did you go?
I actually went to a community college in
Okay.
Oklahoma, so I grew up going to OU for
Okay.
like eating on campus and fun things and stuff like that.
Okay.
He did go there.
Yeah, most of the people in the metro area of Oklahoma City end up at a community college first and then go to a four-year college afterwards,
Okay.
which was my experience. I went to a school called Oklahoma City Community College and got a two-year associate's, and then I finished on to the University of Oklahoma, where I got a four-year bachelor's in science.
Yeah, and you were talking about the square footage. Was it hard to get around campus?
Absolutely. In my first year doing a lot of general education, I bought a bike so I could go across the campus, which is around 1.5 miles, going from one building to another building. As I went further, I sold the bike because all of my classes were in one building instead.
I did see that y'all have this train thing that goes around campus here, and that is so cool. We don't have that in Oklahoma.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so do you feel like more universities should adopt something like that?
Yes, I do. I think that's so smart and very, very nice to be able to just hop on that and get to the other side of campus very quickly rather than having to drive or walk or ride your bike over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it surprises me that they don't have it even though the campus is actually bigger.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought as well.
Great, and so you were talking about the weather in Oklahoma. Have you had any experience with tornadoes at all?
Plenty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a bit, yeah.
And do you have a tornado shelter in where you live?
Yes, so I'm actually from Moore, which is right outside Oklahoma City. So actually across the main street that my neighborhood, the entrance to my neighborhood, the other side of the street is Moore, and I'm on the Oklahoma City street side. So it's very confusing.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, but we've had lots of tornadoes there, and we had one big one that destroyed like half of my neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing that with us and for joining me today. It
Yes, thanks
really
for
means a
having
lot.
us.
Thank
Of course,
you for
thank you so
coming.
much.
Oh, thanks. It's estimated that Mexican shoppers spend $1 billion in Arizona every year during the pandemic. Though during the pandemic, it's believed that number dropped by about half. Mexicans visiting Arizona spend money at stores, restaurants, and hotels. We have our Mexican shopping expert, Christopher Conover, here to discuss. Hello, Mr. Conover. Thank you so much for joining us. So
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure. So what is it about Mexican shoppers that's bringing them over the border in large numbers this time of year?
Well, this time of year, there are two things that are bringing them over. One are sales and availability of items that may not be available in Mexico. But this year specifically, it's the fact that they can come over the border. A year ago during the pandemic, shoppers were not allowed to cross over in cities like Nogales, Arizona from Nogales, Sonora.
Oh, I see. So what is it exactly that these shoppers are looking for at this time of year?
Right now, Mexican shoppers are looking for the same things that American shoppers are looking for, and that's a good deal on something they can't get somewhere else.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Conover. We really appreciate your perspective. Thank you for coming here today.
Absolutely.
This year's summer monsoon was one of the biggest on record, dropping. There's another element of tourism along the border, and it's for dental health care, which draws hundreds of thousands of people to Mexico every year. And though the numbers decreased during the pandemic, the border's proximity and lower prices continue to attract patients. Tony Paniagua shows us how. That's all for now. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Itai Sofer. I hope you have a great night.